we jet off, we've got guests in the studio as well. We've got another group who's coming to talk about something that's very interesting. Up until the age of 11, Emmanuel's life was interrupted by major acts of violence. Now, first, the Rwandan genocide and the 1997 Tanzania forceful repatriation of all Rwandan refugees, an exodus that has led to hundreds of refugees' deaths. He did not have a form of education until 2001 when he was surviving. Of course, family settled in Malawi. He squeezed 12 years of education into 8 years and graduated in 2009 among the top best students in the nation. He received the Best Science Student Award and a scholarship to the University of Toronto, where he studied economics and international relations at the University of Toronto and completed a 4-year program in 3 years with distinction. He went on to do a 2 years economics program at the McGill University in just a year. Naturally, upon completion of his education, Emmanuel became a mailman and served in the Canadian Armed Forces Reserve. Today, he joins us in the studio to talk about his upcoming book, My Father's Son. Stick around.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, Sunrise on Zodiac is the name of the program. Emmanuel, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
And of course, welcome back home-ish.
It's home.
Yeah?
I'm actually a Malawian citizen, but I'm also a Canadian citizen. But because I wasn't born in Malawi, I'm not allowed to hold 2 citizenships. So I had to revoke my Malawian citizenship. But, I've spent more than 20 years in Malawi.
Wow. Wow.
And,
Yeah.
Well,
so welcome
Malawian
back.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
So welcome home. I know that recently, I'm just going to ask you a few questions, of course, on the genocide itself. I know that recently, I think we're looking at how long ago was that?
So it's been, since 1994 to now, it's been
25? 20,
yes.
It should be 25, right?
No, it's
27? 27.
Yeah,
27,
28 years.
Yeah. That's a long time.
It's a long time.
And I know that sometimes we can be so detached from the issues that are happening in other countries. Like it's as if the pain that took place in Rwanda is Rwanda's pain.
Yes.
And it's not our pain.
Yeah.
But what kind of, why is this important, do you think, that we're still speaking about it and that the world should still pay attention to such an issue?
So it's still relevant, and the reason why Malawians should care about this issue is it highlights a very important issue in people in general. We have to know that everyone, regardless who they are, whether you go to church or not, we're capable of doing bad things. And sometimes when we think about these issues, we feel like if we were in the same situation, maybe we'll be the good guys.
Yeah.
We'll never participate in such a thing.
Yeah.
But if you can see the economic unrest that's happening in Malawi at the moment, people sometimes take part in, let's say, looting. So these are the lessons that we can take from Rwanda. We're all capable of bad things, and knowing that helps us to be better human beings.
That's true. Yeah, when we know what kind of evil we're capable of, we are better able to be aware.
Yes.
And not step into that situation.
Yes.
How long did it take for you to get your citizenship here in Malawi?
So I got my citizenship during the time of Bingu because my father had worked at Kamuzu Central Hospital.
Oh, right.
So
your father was a doctor coming in?
Yes, he was actually a professor at a medical college in Rwanda when the genocide happened.
It affected everyone.
Yes. So we had to flee, and then we became refugees in Burundi, and we had to pass through Tanzania and Kenya, and then ended up in Malawi, thankfully, which was very far away from Rwanda, and we were safe. And when Bingu came in, he was a Pan-African visionary. So everyone with skills, he wanted those skills to be used in Malawi.
So it took you about how many years roughly?
Roughly 15.
15 years.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know that something that matters, especially to you, is being a voice for refugees as well, because you've lived the life, you know the pain, you know what finding refuge is, even in a country like Malawi. As you said, we came to Malawi, thank God.
Yes.
What do you think of the current state of refugees at the moment in Malawi?
So currently, Malawi has a policy called the encampment policy, which means every refugee has to be in ZODIAK camp.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, even including myself, actually.
Really?
Yes. Every refugee, it doesn't matter whether you're married to a Malawian, it doesn't matter whether you were born here.
Yeah.
You have to be in the camp. As long as you came in here as an asylum seeker, you have to be in the camp. And recently, the court just made the ruling that the government is actually correct because last year they made the directive that everybody should go back to the camp. And according to those policies and those rules, the court was right. But I feel like those rules have to be changed because it's a little bit inhumane. That the incumbent policy works for asylum seekers because you don't know who is coming in. It could be that somebody who has committed a crime is seeking refuge in your country, so you have to contain them in a certain space. But for somebody who has been given status as a refugee in the country, it doesn't make sense.
There's so much that we could go over when
Yes.
it comes to just that specific issue.
Yes.
So I'm glad that you've had your moment to share your thoughts, because I'm sure you're speaking for a good number of people
Yes.
when it comes to that. But of course, this morning we're here to talk mostly about your book, which I'm sure goes back into who you are. But first, you tell me, what is My Father's Son about?
So my father's son is actually based on my father, who sadly passed away in 2018. And it's a fictional novel, and it follows his life from Rwanda to Malawi. Wow. And when he passed away, he was trying to resettle us to Canada. And so the story is about his movement and escaping war and what we can learn from that situation. So the book is actually titled My Father's Son because he adopted a son who turned out to be...
That's the fictional bit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's the fictional bit.
Yeah.
Who turned out to have more in common with him than
His
actual son.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's fantastic. What kind of story are we looking out for when it comes out? Aside from the issues, of course, of the pain and the movement around Africa, finding refuge.
Yeah. So it's a story that hopefully is going to make you cry and laugh sometimes, and learn something about people. You know, we have to be not just sympathize with refugees, because sympathy means you have to pity somebody, and sympathy is not good. You have to empathize, and know that what happened to somebody can also happen to you. You know, be able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and that's what the Bible, the Quran, calls us to do.
When does this book come out?
So the book is scheduled to come out in May. In the coming year, May 2023.
That's taking a while. What's the reason behind May?
Yes, so there's a team that's working on all the logistics for the book to be successful. They're working on the marketing strategies and editing the book so that it's top notch.
Yeah. Is there a way or places that you also share your story? Because already we've only spoken for a few minutes, and we obviously don't have much time this morning to jump into it. But do you happen to have spaces where you do talk about your story, which, of course, as you said, speaks to the issues of humanity?
Yes. So I like to talk about my stories in church. I'm very involved in church. Yesterday I was on NBC, Radio 1.
Yeah.
So I want my story to go as wide as it can, because I feel like everybody can learn something from refugees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, like I said, welcome back home. We do look forward to the launch of your book, My Father's Son, next year. But right now, how can we find you on Facebook so we could keep following?
So my name on Facebook is Emmanuel Mudakenga. That's the best way to reach me. You can also look at Vin Books. So that's the company that's responsible for all the details.
Fantastic.
Concerning my book.
Well, I thank you. Looking forward to having more chats with you leading up to the release of the book itself on all of the issues that we've spoken of today, from the genocide to the state of refugees here in the country, and of course the struggle. And I'm glad to say that we've seen Rwanda go through such a dark time but come out so beautiful at the end of it, because it's so strong right now, and I think that speaks to your story. So maybe that's the resilience that your people have as well. So I'm happy that we got to meet today.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, do stick around. You're watching Sunrise on Zodiac. And, of course, keep your eye locked on Zodiac, because I'm sure you'll be seeing more of this guy and hearing a lot more about his story.